Oh, hi, everybody. I'm going to share a screen and be coming in on this. And again, as Maeve said, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box, or we're a nice small group here. So if you want, just unmute and shout it out. And welcome to the 39-minute film school. My name's Elliot Grove. Just before we start, I'm going to show you a little trailer we made last year with our film school students here in London. This was in between the lockdowns when we thought we were going to be free, and that was almost a year ago, but it wasn't. See what you think of this.
Everything okay? It's a little bit glitchy. Is everything all right on your end, Elliot?
So we did that in a couple of nights in London, had to get permission, blah, blah, blah. Those are our film school students everywhere that you see did that. So that's what we did. And of course, lockdown has continued and still is continuing many places in the world, wherever you are tonight. I grew up on a farm outside Toronto. My parents were Amish, the horse and buggy people. I was told never, ever to go to the movie theater because the devil lived there. There's a picture of me on the farm as a kid. In 1992, when I started Raindance, there were only 6 British features made that year. Britain had a very successful film industry in the 60s and 70s, but they'd all left and gone to television by the time I started Raindance, and everyone thought making movies, you needed $1 million to make a film. So basically, at that time in my life, I just lost everything. I was working in property here in London. In the last big British recession, 1991, interest rates went to 92%. I lost absolutely everything, but I love movies. So I basically started Raindance as a thought experiment. Can you make a movie with no money? I was totally broke. So was my first intern, a guy called Edgar Wright. I met Chris Nolan about a year after I started Raindance. He was broke. None of us have been to film school. Can you make a movie with no money, without any film training or no film experience? None of us had worked as a writer, director, or producer, although me and my previous life back home in Toronto, where I'm from, I'd worked as a scenic artist on 68 features and 700 shorts and commercials. I lost track. Now, I hope you never see any one of these films that I made in Toronto. We'll stop sharing for a minute. They were simply dreadful. In fact, if you're scouting the internet, Netflix or whatever late at night, bored, and find a movie made in the late 70s or early 80s, and if the film has got one of these words in the title, I probably worked on it. If it has a word like slime or gore or massacre, I probably worked on it. These were truly, truly dreadful films. That was my film experience. I'm going to share a screen again so I can see you all. Here we go. So I started Raindance. It was very small. Here's a bit of a timeline. We started back in 92. We did film courses first. We started the festival in 93. 5 years later, in 1998, I couldn't believe that British people weren't giving me the respect. So I started something called the British Independent Film Awards, and they still don't give me respect, but it's still going. It's 25 years old next year, and it's become one of the iconic film events on the British calendar, celebrating independent films that happen to be made in Britain. I started a charity called the Independent Film Trust and a little outpost in my hometown of Toronto in 2004. And we did an online film festival in 2006. We're the first festival in the world to do that. And we did that until about 2011. And we've just started doing it again last year. We've got a bunch of hubs in different cities. 2012, kind of a big event for us. Short films at our festival qualify for an Oscar nomination. The next year, we were the first festival to do a web fest. And then in 2016, we launched immersive, immersive stories, VR. And the content creators of immersive films call these kinds of films flatties, two-dimensional films. It's a new term I picked up. Our film school started a 2-year degree in Britain called the HND school. We started an MA back in 2011. And then last year, we started a BA degree, and we opened just in time for the pandemic festival outpost in Dubai. And of course, our festival last year was hybrid, mainly online due to the lockdown that we went through last fall and again this spring in the UK. 99-minute film school. You see, I'm going to start not from the camera and the actors. I'm going to start where it really counts, the big city premiere, right? Do you not live in a big city or know a big city? And do they not have a big cinema right in the center of town, a movie theater? And do they not often have the big red carpet premiere with all the stars come and all the paparazzi? And you want to be there, right? Let's be honest here for a minute. If you make a movie, you want loads and loads of people to see it in one of those big red carpet events. Well, how do you get that? Well, first of all, there's different kinds of people that you need to know about. The people that choose the films that go into the big city premieres are the acquisition executives for all of the films, all the distribution companies. And by the way, if you could put the link to this presentation, there's a download link. You can get this off Canva and watch it just like we're watching it now, if you ever want to refresh anything. So acquisitions executives are tasked to find suitable films for distribution for their company in your nation or your city, your territory. And when they pick a film, they decide whether or not they want to spend $50 to $100 to $200,000 for the big premiere. So that's one person you need to get. 2 people buy stuff in the film industry. Acquisition executives buy finished films. Development executives buy scripts and ideas. What are you selling? A film or an idea or a script? Script and ideas goes to a development executive. Your finished film, an acquisition executive. They're not interested in your film until it's finished. And where acquisition executives go to find new movies, well, one place they go is film markets. George, who's here, and I went to Cannes a number of years ago. This is the Cannes market that runs simultaneously with the Cannes Film Festival. This year the last 2 years just been all online. And when you go to a film market, you go through and you see all the posters and all the people trying to sell films, trying to get you, if you're a distributor, in. And they'll say, where are you from? Argentina. What do you have? Do you have pay cable? Do you have cinema? TV? And they'll try to sell your rights to your film to, in this case, Argentina or not. There's 49 different territories around the world. Each territory has many different kinds of sales. This is something that's changed a lot since I started Raindance 30 years ago. You have the streamers, you have the TV companies, you have the subscription model, like your Netflixes and so on. There's about 2,500 different people buying films around the world. Your question is, how do you find them? Well, you find them by attending a film market, like the AFM in Los Angeles, the European Film Market in Berlin, or the Marché du Film in Cannes, same times of Cannes Film Festival. Do you see here, you've got the Festival de Cannes? That's the festival films with all the red carpets. Marché du Film is the film market. It's very crass. You've got buyers and you've got sellers. And the sellers are trying to sell your film. Anyway, so where do they go to find new movies? Where do you think acquisition executives go to find new movies? They go to film festivals. This is another shot of Cannes. This is where all the pavilions are, all the different nations, India, France, Britain, America have pavilions here trying to promote their nation as a destination for filmmakers, right? More of a trade show, if you like, but also festival programmers come here to find new films. They will look at the festival program to see what they like that's suitable for their city back home, or their festival back home, and they'll also look in the market to see which films didn't make it into the very prestigious Cannes Film Festival. Now, this is a mistake most new filmmakers make. They want to see their film, big red carpet city premiere, all the paparazzi, all the journalists, but they don't realize there's only two people you should really think about when you finish your film: acquisitions executives and festival programmers. These are the only two people that can help you. Everything else is fluff. So when you make your film, you're making it for those two people. So if you think your film is suitable for a certain kind of distribution company, you will send it to, I'm going to stop sharing again. If it's suitable for a certain kind of distribution company, you'll go to their website to see what they've already distributed, to see if your type of film is the kind of film that they might be interested in. And if you want your film to get into a certain festival, like Raindance Film Festival, or Sundance, or Cannes, or Berlin, or Tribeca, or Toronto, very important festival in Toronto, my hometown, look at the kinds of films that they program, and then see who the festival programmers are, look at their submission deadlines, and you send it to the festival, fingers crossed, hoping that you get in. So that is, in a summary, what happens from the cinema screen back to you. But there's more here, because I'm going to share screen again. The real trick is to learn how you attract the attention of acquisition executives and festival programmers. And what you do is, that's another shot of Cannes. You see all the posters. There's Hong Kong, and they'll see all the little posters of films there that they're hoping to sell to a distributor. You make a press kit. This is the old-fashioned press kit. These are made of paper, but now they're online, of course. You see they have the title of the film, the image, title of the film and the image, yeah. In this case, in this one here, Waiter will be the screening time that it was playing at that year's Berlin film market. So if you're a film buyer like this poster, you would go along at 2:50 on February the 9th and watch the film and decide if you like it. Here's another one, February 12th, and so on. Yeah.
Sorry, I think you might be seeing something that we can't. I think we're still on your festival programmers slide. So I think you might be seeing something that.
Okay, thank you. Well, try that again.
Sorry.
That's all right. It could be time like. Do you see press kit right now?
We do, yes.
Oh, good. So I mentioned the film Waiter, Heart of the Doll, the screening time, the market screening time. This is not festival, yeah? Now, press kit has three parts. It's got a synopsis, the Q&A, and very, very important are the photographs. So I want to talk through these in the 39-minute film school. So first of all is the synopsis. How do you write the perfect synopsis? It's a real knack. That's my next slide. So
It
What you
doesn't seem
want,
to be moving slides. Sorry, the slides aren't. It's staying on the one slide that you project, but it's not moving
God,
from
that's so
the next
weird.
one.
So weird. Do you see how to write the perfect synopsis?
We see it now, and then I think when you move
I may
slide,
have to come in and out every time. This has never happened to me before. Anyway,
oh,
so your synopsis, you're going to write 3 synopses, but this is the short one. This is the one that you see on Netflix when you're scrolling through to see what you might like. Yeah. And here's another little trick. Start the first word of your film title with the letter A, B, C, or D. Because on Netflix, those come first. And we've done research and we know that, especially in America, you people are too lazy to go to the next screen. So if you start with M or P or Q or Z, it's very unlikely that people are going to click through and see that. Just a little trick I learned ages ago. So when you're writing this little synopsis, first of all, you want to say, this is a story about, better to say this is a thriller comedy. Start off by saying, alluding to the genre. The worst thing you can say is this is a drama, because drama is too general. Have any of you had to find a new place to live? And have you gone to an estate agent? And you sit down, and if you're in Britain, they brush the raindrops off your shoulder. The first question they ask you is, first, if you said to the estate agent, the first thing you said, find me a home, the estate agent's going to go, what? 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedroom, big budget, middle budget, little budget, right? So when you're looking for accommodation, the genre, if you like, is budget, number of bedrooms, and location, is it not? If you say drama, people don't know what you're talking about. Now, there's about a dozen major dramas. There is horror, thriller, sci-fi, romance, comedy, crime, detective, thriller, myth, or a person's story, right? But in this day and age, we want more than one genre. We want mixed genre. Now, my first intern, Edgar Wright, his first movie, Shaun of the Dead, did that make it to America? In which 2 genres is that movie? Comedy horror or horror comedy. Yeah, people like mixed genre. If it was pure horror, you see in Britain, they used to do something Hammer House of Horror, single genre, single horror. And when we see those films now, we think they're kind of shallow. So you want a mixed genre. So you say, my horror comedy, my rom-com, my action adventure. Those are 2 genres. They're very popular genres, aren't they? Is the story about, now describe the main character. Don't say it's a story about Keith, because we don't know who Keith is. But if we said it's a story about an unemployed Welsh butcher, we get an idea of who this person might be, probably male, yeah, but could be female, that'd be a twist. But don't say their name, just describe their occupation. Just like when you go to a networking event, who are you, who are you? Well, I've got Terry and Stasha, I can see your names here. I've got George, I've got John, right? 2 Johns here. And I've got so topic, cool. So how are you? The first thing I'm gonna ask you is, what do you do? What do you do? And you're going to answer, oh, I work in IT, I'm whatever I do. And then I'm going to forget your name, but I'm going to remember the occupation. Yeah. Once you've done that, the next thing you write is, what is the main goal of your principal character? What's the main goal of the hero or the protagonist, if you're using screenwriting doublespeak? Yeah. Now, here's another trick I learned is you need to make the goal specific. You see, I've read in my time about 3,000 screenplays, and most of those screenplays did not get made because there was no specific goal. It was a story of about 23 people on a Zoom who have to leave in 39 minutes, right? Yeah, well, that's kind of boring, isn't it? Yeah, or I should say, Here's non-specific. It's a bunch of people on Zoom. 23 people on Zoom. Well, so what? But if I say it's 23 people who must leave Zoom in 39 minutes or else, you see the difference is now I can measure whether or not you succeed or fail to succeed. It's a nice little screenwriting trick, those of you who are writers. But then you write the word but or circumstances arise. You say things like, there'll be many reasons why your main character cannot get what they want. Just pick the most obvious one, the principal one that you come back to over and over again. And the last few words describe the outcome, the ending. I've read many, many synopses where they say things like, did Sally pull the trigger or not? You'll have to watch the movie to find out. And you know what? This just annoys people. Remember, this is going to industry people. It's not going on the side of a bus. This is to someone who really quickly wants to know what your movie's about. They read these 3 or 4 lines and then they completely use that. So that's what you've got. I then advise you to, sorry, can you see Q&A here? Whoops, I've just gone back. Can you see?
No, we're still on how to write perfect synopsis.
Okay, I'm going to come out. I'll come back to that in a sec. I would advise doing 3 synopses, long, medium, short. This is more of the log line, the 3 lines we just did. The long synopsis should be 1 page double spaced. The first paragraph should be, well, let me back up. The long synopsis would be the story of your film, double spaced, but the last paragraph, last 20, 30 words should be a production note. Something about you that nearly swamped the production, but because you are, and I'm exaggerating, an amazing genius, you solved and the movie's not finished. That's the long synopsis. Then I would do a second one, half a page long, the short synopsis. Again, the top 3/4 of that, the top maybe 10, 12 lines, another summary of the story, different, of course, and the bottom 2 lines, yet another production note, another reason why you're an amazing genius. And again, I'm exaggerating for effect. And the third synopsis, the medium synopsis, 2/3 of a page long. And at the top, you put title of the movie, double spaced by, and then your name, 2/3 of a page. The first 3/4 of that 2/3, a third synopsis, and the last 2.5 or 1.5 lines, a third production note. Now, the reason you do that is because you're trying to sell your film. And when you're selling your film, remember, the natural law of nature is that gravity runs downhill. You're trying to defy the forces of nature and make your film sale go uphill. And anything you do for the journalist or the acquisition executive or the festival programmer to make it easier for their job, you do it. And you want to get reviewed and interviewed, don't you? And if you send these 3 synopses to a journalist, how much room do they have? You don't know. Do they have room for 100 words, the short one, 200 words, the medium one, or 300 words, the long one? You don't do that. You're hoping they swipe that straight into their publication. And they often do. They often do. So I'm going to share screen again. Hopefully it's going to work this time. I might have to, okay, can you see the Q&A?
You can see this page? Slide, but it may change. We may not see the next one, I think.
Yeah, I'll come out and keep advancing. Okay, so the second part of the press kit is a Q&A. So you have to get a blank sheet of paper and at the top of the page, write the 10 most frequently asked questions of your name during the making of title of your movie. And you write these 10 questions. This is going to be easy to write. The synopses are really, I find them, they're tough to write. You do many, many drafts, but this should be easy. These are the same 10 questions everyone's been asking you since you made the announcement that you wanted to make a movie. Have any of you told a close friend or family member that you really want to give up the dull and boring job and make a movie? Have you ever done that? I call that making the announcement. And what happens if you make the announcement accidentally to the same person a week or two later, or a third time, or even a 10th time? And if you keep making the announcement to the same person many, many times, what do they start thinking you are? Do you know what 3 fingers up is? Did you know that if you make the announcement so many times to the same person without actually doing anything, you get the 3 fingers up? Do you know what that means? Creative people. Here I am, an elderly Canadian explaining British street slang. Does this look like the letter W? Can you think of a British American word that starts with the letter W that rhymes with the word banker? Yeah, if you make the announcement too many times. So you got to watch that one or you get known as, anyway. So how do you write? You write these questions down. And then after each question, you write a 3 to 4 line answer. And I learned this from Quentin Tarantino. The year I started Raindance, he was in London promoting Reservoir Dogs. At that time, he was totally unknown. He met him with a mutual friend at a hotel in the center of London. While he was meeting his friend, long lost, I picked up his press kit, turned the page, and there were the 10 most frequently asked questions of Quentin Tarantino during the making of Reservoir Dogs. And there were 10 questions like, what made you decide to make this movie? If you had to do it again, what would you do differently? What was it like working with Harvey Keitel or whatever? 10 questions like that. And after each question was a 3-line answer that ended with the phrase along the lines of, because Quentin Tarantino is an amazing genius. Again, I'm exaggerating for effect. Now, that was on a Monday. On a Wednesday, on a Thursday in the UK, there was a very famous TV show where they reviewed the upcoming movies, and on that show, the presenter said, "Oh my God, this Tarantino guy is the most amazing American independent filmmaker since Martin Scorsese." I read that 2 days earlier in the press kit. He took nothing to chance. He blew his own horn. And then the next day, on the Friday, the film opened in the cinemas, and lots of people rushed to see this film. And I was one of them. And as I was walking out of the cinema, I heard someone else turn to a friend and say, "Oh my God, thank goodness that American independent film is alive and well." I had read that 4 days earlier in the press kit. It's so important. And if you don't blow your own horn, no one else is going to. Now, I can stop sharing again. I'm going to advance the slide and then come back to the next one. Woo. I'll stop sharing for a sec. Now, here's the thing. At Raindance, last year we had 12,500 films come in, 12,500 press kits. And an intern sorts them out online these days. They make a folder with all the good press kits and a folder with all the crappy press kits. Which films do you think our programmers look at first? The good press kit file, isn't it? And very often they find a film that's overhyped and they go, "Oh, please, no, that's horrible." And then they start looking at the bad press kit file, and every once in a while they find a hidden gem and they look at it, and then they want to program it, but there's no press kit. We don't know anything about the press kit. So I'm the guy that gets to phone the filmmaker wherever they are in the world and said, "Please, can you write a press kit?" And they go, "How do you do that?" And I end up writing the press kit. Do you see how it works? If we can't get the word out about your film, no one's going to come and see it. And the festival, it will be a commercial disaster. We'll lose money. And if you don't have a press kit, how are people going to find you? They won't. I'm going to share screen again. Now, photographs is the third element you need in your press kit. And there's three different kinds of photographs you need. The first photograph is a photograph of the cast reenacting a key moment of the film. This is such a photograph. It's not very good, but it's a film from one of my favorite films from a few years ago. But you see, those are the two actors in the film. So how you get those photographs is you get a stills photographer to come to your set on the day that you're doing the most action, when the blood's flying around or whatever. And remember that you don't speak to the actors, only the director speaks to the actors. The director has an assistant called the first assistant director that speaks to the crew. So what you do is you bring your stills photographer to the set, introduce them to the first AD. This will all be scheduled when the slot is for the stills photographer. So when they're calling a shot, the first AD goes quiet on the set, roll sound, roll camera. The director to the actors goes action, cut, cut. Then the first AD introduces your stills photographer to the director. And then for a few minutes, the director hands the power of the set over to the stills photographer to take all the nice publicity shots that end up on the poster. You've seen those, haven't you? You can't do it during the actual shoot because the flash or the click of the camera will interfere with the lights of the camera. So that's how you do that shot. The second shot you get are BTS, behind the scenes. Production shots. There's someone getting made to look like a zombie by the looks of it. Yeah, you need lots and lots of that. But the third shot you need, the most important shot, can you see pointing? Can you see that? No, I'm gonna have to stop sharing again. This is really weird. I've never, ever, ever had this before. Pointing. You can see that now, yeah? So what you want to do is remember that when you are having your picture taken, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. Again, well, I'll leave it there for now. When you choose your stills photographer, choosing the right person is really important. Some people make the mistake of getting the guy or gal who does the college yearbook, in which case you'll get this photograph. Or maybe the cute one, this photograph, high school yearbook, yeah? These are not the kinds of pictures you want social media. So something I learned from an actor friend of mine who went to theater stage school was that when you are on stage with another actor, you never point. And the reason that you never point is because this finger steals all the action. And stage actors are taught many things in theater school that are relevant to cinema. Two things, actually. One is never overlap. Our brains cannot compute two people talking at the same time. And the second thing they're taught is never to point because you steal the scene. Well, let's hold that thought. Let's go to theater. I mean, from theater to cinema. Is not cinema rooted in theater? You mean if I point on set, people will accidentally think I know what I'm doing, when in fact, I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's take that shot. And you know what? You can point at anything. I'm pointing at this glass of water. I'm pointing at my glasses. You want the really cool shot? Oh my God. It kind of looks like I know what I'm doing, doesn't it? And I have no idea what I'm doing, as you've probably gathered from the way this clumsy screen share is going. So here's an example of Francis Ford Coppola pointing. Do you think that actually happens on a set? Do you think he actually went over to the camera and pointed like that? Or do you think maybe that was lunchtime? I'm going to advance. You can't see that picture. Same picture, yeah? Oh my God, I don't know what's going on here. So I'll share screen again. Oh my God. Famous director pointing. Share screen again. You'll like this one.
It might work if you share your the desktop rather than just the one screen, if you want to try it. But
no, but
are you pressing?
I'm presenting according to the instructions I've been given and used many, many times.
That's okay.
But anyway, bear with me. We'll get through it. There's Spielberg. Hands on a camera. I mean, do you actually think, this is how I think this picture was taken. Steven Spielberg says, cut, lunchtime. And he said, where's my sandwich? And then the PR people come over and say, Steven, we need a photograph. Oh no, you want the baseball cap, front, back? How do you want it on the camera? Fine, click, bang. But it kind of looks like he knows what he's doing, isn't it? You want pictures like this of yourself producing or directing your film. Oh my God, this is frustrating. Here's another little trick. Okay, let's suppose you are a camera. Let's say you're a journalist, right? Let's suppose behind me is a red carpet, yeah? A red carpet. And let's suppose you're doing your first red carpet entry. You're walking this way along the red carpet, yeah? And all the logos of Oscars, whatever. And let's say this is you. Why do you want to be on this side rather than this side? Does anyone know? How do they caption photographs? Left to right. Your name will be first, right? If you're on this side rather than this side. Now, I learned this from Keira Knightley. She was coming into something with Sienna Miller. Do those names ring bells for anyone? And they kept switching places. And I said to Keira, why do you keep switching places? This is Keira. She said, because those people are my people, but those people over there are Sienna's. So I gave her that side. And she said she gets 35 to 40% more clicks on pictures on Google SEO if she's on this side of the picture rather than this side here. So let's see how the celebrities do that. This is me at Raindance with Guy Ritchie. Right, so he walks in. And I said to him, do you mind if I take a photograph? He said, no, of course not. I helped him out a bit with Locksnot. Whoops, I've just gone away. And I went to the right-hand side. He said, no, stand here. He didn't know what he was talking about. He didn't understand that. A lot of actors don't know that. But in all the newspapers, with Elliot Grove with Guy Ritchie at the Raindance Film Festival is more powerful than Guy Ritchie with Elliot Grove at Raindance. Do you see that? Let me show you another one. I have to stop sharing and come back. It's very boring, but we'll get through it. Whoops. Oh, I've just screwed up here. I've got to go back one. It clicked again. This is another left side, right side picture. Share screen. I dragged my thumb when I changed it. That is Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols. And do you know why he's so angry at me? He knew I was trying to go on that side. He said, don't you dare do that. But you see how it kind of works, isn't it? And actually, that's a good photograph. Yeah, good. The next picture I want to show you is what happens at the British Independent Film Awards, which we do every year, which I founded way back in 1998. See, all the celebrities come here. And you can't really see it, but there's all the press boards here. Here's all the camera crews around the world, and they come up. Yeah. And then the big celebrity, I can't really make out who that one is. Could have been someone like Olivia Colman and that. Everyone else comes here, and then they go back in down to dinner down here. That's how that works. So the people are media trained. Why do you think actors answer those difficult questions on CNN and whatever? Is because they're trained. They're trained. And now you have a bit of that training here on the 99-minute film school. Now, here's some low-budget tricks for filmmakers. Sharing screen again, real quickly. If you're ever shooting outside at night, or even in the daytime, wet the street. Do you see how it picks up all the street lights? It's such a good trick. It's such a good trick to do that. Going to show you something else. Stop share and come back. You've heard of guerrilla filmmaking, right? Guerrilla filmmaking means you shot on a street or a public place without permission, right? Now, if you shoot without permission and get busted, they can take your equipment away. And it's very boring trying to get it back from the cop shop, you know? So you need to get permission from your local city if you're going to shoot on the streets. However, in London, we did something without permission, which I'm going to stop sharing and show you now. Never, ever have known. I'm going to bitch to Canva about this. No, I won't. Now, this, you can see a big red arrow here on YouTube. Now I'm going to show you the first, this is, again, when you get the presentation, you're going to, Maeve is going to put the link so you can get the, you can watch this. But this is all special effects that was done later. But I just want to show you shooting in Trafalgar Square. That's a major square in London. I just showed you the picture of without permission. So that shot there we did last, because the next shot is a close-up. You see that shot's a close-up. So what we did, we had the camera at the top of the square. Just let me advance it just a bit so you can see where we were. Whoops, whoops, I'll go the wrong way. Ah, feel like an idiot now. Sorry. Okay, so this is the second shot. The camera was up here where we are looking now. Yeah. So we knew if we did this shot first, the police would pick us up. This is early in the morning, 2 years ago. Yeah. So we did the first shot up close because it only took about a minute. Then we moved the camera up, reset the actors, and as they were taking this take, the police came up and said, "Can we see your permit?" I said, "Oh, I forgot it." And they said, "Well, where is it?" I said, "Well, our office is just literally across the road." And they said, "Well, you would have emailed it in, right?" I said, "Yeah," lying. And they said, "Well, we don't see it." And they picked up their phone. They're looking at it. I don't know, no. And they said, "You're going to have to stop filming." Now, I kept making eye contact with the DOP and the director. I've worked with them many times before on guerrilla shooting. And I knew they needed another 15 seconds to get this shot in, this very shot you're looking at. So I said in my very best Canadian accent, "But this is Leicester Square, right?" And they said, "No, it is Trafalgar Square." They're beside each other, these two squares in London, if you know the geography. And they said, "Well, you're going to have to quit." So I slowly walked over to the camera and said, "Guys, we got to quit." And they went, "Oh, no." But they knew they had the shot. We packed up and we left. And I'm not ever suggesting you do that, but understand the consequences. Real quick here, also the future of filmmaking. We'll talk about the future of filmmaking, all the new distribution models, this is a film that I produced that won South by Southwest in 2019, the Grand Jury Prize. And because of COVID, it didn't get American distribution. It got online distribution in America, but each of the art house cinemas, some 60 or 70 in America, you would go to their website during lockdown, see this film, pay $12, half went to the theater and half came back to the film. It was very successful in that sense. What can you do about that? Also, another film, I'm going to stop sharing again to give you an idea of what's happening right now, is the films that were made in lockdown. Host was made by Rob Savage, someone who won an award at Raindance 9 years ago. He made this film totally in lockdown. And it was so successful, the 6 actors in 6 different locations never met each other with little cameras on the back of their laptop, a horror film. It actually got theatrical release in the UK, and because it was so good, he signed a 3-picture deal with Blumhouse, the American financiers. And all of his films come out on Shudder. As you can see, Shudder is the horror Netflix. This film here, In the Shadow It Waits, was from Australia. It was a real-time movie made in real time with 6 actors. Again, they never met. All the different camera setups, but they were moving around in their different flats or going out to their local park or whatever. Really, really interesting way it was made. I'll stop sharing again. Our time, sadly, is nearly over, but if you want to get a hold of me, I'm putting my details up on the screen. That's my Twitter account. Please follow me. I'll follow you back. And by the way, a quick word on social media. you should all start your own social media for your creative projects. And it's not about getting hundreds and thousands of people. It's about getting a very few dedicated fans. These are people that will help you with your crowdfunding, something else we could talk about if we had more time. And you know what? There's someone that you all know who's got a massive social following, who started, when he started, only had 12 followers. Do you know who that is, Maeve? Jesus. He started with 12 followers and he's got millions of them now. So it's not about how many, it's about how loyal they are and how they spread the word about how you are. Our website is, I didn't put it on here, raindance.org. There's over 2,000 blog posts on there. We also have free weekly newsletters with lots of tips. And we have a membership scheme if you ever want to join. There's a freemium and a paid membership with lots of free stuff, discounts, and goodies far too numerous to mention here.